Hi guys, and welcome back to World's Best Gardens. This week we're looking at Raby Castle Gardens. They were gardens that were created by the Barnard family, Thomas Wright and Luciano Giubbilei. So we'll just have a quick look at the overall layout. That's the castle there, and those are the sort of where their wall gardens are. Overall, there's about 200 acres in the grounds. So the opening times are for the wall garden. There is a limited time during the week that's opened, but the gardens and the surrounding areas are generally opened for most of the time throughout the year, from around about sort of 10 a.m. to around about 4 to 5 p.m. So we're just having a quick look at the vinery. These are all part of the new renovations that have just happened, and this is the landscape designer Luciano Giubbilei, who started these renovations in 2022, and he brought a new vibe to the garden with his modern contemporary look, and he is renowned for using these sort of plantings with pale silvers, pale blues and purples and grasses, and also throwing a few sort of lemon coloured flowering plants in there as well. So we're just going to, but before you get to the wall gardens, there's this part here which is the coach house and stables. These are open to the general public free of charge, and down here you've got a restaurant or two, and you've got some boutique types of shops, and also these nice plantings that continue the theme throughout. So Luciano was famous for getting various gold medals at the Chelsea Flower Show, and he has done a great job overall on this whole renovation. So admission is about £18 to the wall garden for adults, and that gets you to the castle as well. And we're just about to head off there now, so we just sort of pay your money at the round house, and then you go through this little gate here to the walled garden. Like I said, the walled gardens are around about 5 acres, and it starts off, you come into a central part to the garden, and then you've got sort of like a left and right or an east and west sort of side. So this is the formal garden, and a lot of the gardens here are from the existing gardens. So you've got either side, you've got those yew hedges sort of clipped into that sort of cloud shape, and this was all designed back in the sort of 1770s with a guy called Thomas Wright, and he was a famous astronomer, mathematician of the time, and also an architect, landscape designer. And he designed this, he incorporated the ponds and the formal gardens, and also I believe the larger landscape of incorporating the castle with more naturalised landscape gardens. So now we're going to move to the west side of the garden, and the west garden has the conservatory, if you can see that in the distance there at the top. That has been redone, and it's a smaller conservatory, I believe, than the original. This garden also has the greenhouse, which is just up there, and it also has this new incorporated archway with the wisteria, which will grow over it eventually. So that'll look quite amazing in probably about 5 to 7 years' time. Just going to have a quick look into the greenhouse. This is more of a display greenhouse, I think, because it's got a lot of little clay pots, and it's sort of there for more looks than actual planting in the garden, although I'm quite sure they probably do use a lot of these plants. So on the right there you've got heliotropium, lots of geraniums, that's a fig plant, and then also on these walls you've got espaliered plants, various fruiting trees. See some nice topiary plants there clipped into a nice interesting shape. This garden I thought looked really good. It's quite a contemporary garden, so you've got a large lawn space. It's divided up into these big squares of grasses and a few conifers and a few specimen trees. Very simplistic but very effective. That grass there, you could actually get that, and you could buy that at the nursery if you wanted to. Now, so that's the west garden. We're going to go to the other side now, and this is the the eastern garden, and it had a nice pergola. And this garden is more laid out a little bit more informally, so you've got more of the herbaceous perennials and curved paths and gravel paths. And that was quite a nice sculpture there that was just underneath that pergola. Just meandering paths, and then there was quite a few of these fairly chunky timber seats that were positioned throughout the garden, so you could sit a while, especially on a hot summer's day. It was pretty cool. This was in the UK summer. I thought it was a little bit cool, but this was a nice garden to walk around. You can see it's full in flower, and the flowering scheme is pretty much that sort of grasses and purples and magentas and various plants like this one here. It's a good view of the castle in the background, which we'll have a quick look at before we leave these 5-acre gardens. Nice contemporary feel to this. I think this would sort of fit into pretty much anybody's garden. Nice bit of gravel and a few grasses. And some fairly well mature trees as well in this garden that have been left there as part of the overall design. When I originally visited this garden about 12 years ago now, it was very, very different and quite simple. So this is a grassed lawn area, and then you can't quite see it there, but it's an amphitheatre, big arcs there where you can sit on the grass. Okay, so now we're going to head back. We're heading back to the central garden. So you've got to head to the central garden to get to the castle, and you go through a gateway. Initially what we did is actually we went out and then tried to get round the side, but there's a sort of gate that stops you. So you've got to go through that central bit to get to the castle. Obviously it's a part of the way to keep people who are going to pay to see the castle in the right sort of area. So over in the side there, you can see the fig house, and that contains a very old fig, I believe. So I'm just going to take a quick pan of the garden. This is the wall gardens from basically from left to right, from west to east, and then while we're at it, we'll just have a quicker look at this very, very cool castle with some established gardens around the outside. But really this is more about the inside, the very interesting rooms, different levels, and well worth a look. Okay guys, we're going to wrap it up there. This was the Raby Castle Gardens. It was an awesome garden to look around and well worth a visit.